Oh, hello. Welcome to the Curious Emporium. Have a look at what we have in store for you.
You've probably heard the name right, the Flying Dutchman. For centuries, sailors have passed down this chilling story of a phantom ship. It glows with this ghostly light, and it's doomed to sail the oceans forever, never ever able to make port. It's one of the most famous legends of the sea. Okay, so I want you to really picture this. Imagine you're on a ship, caught in a massive, violent storm. Out of nowhere, through the rain and the fog, another ship appears. Its sails are full, which makes no sense in a gale like this. And it's glowing with this strange, unnatural light. For literally hundreds of years, sailors have reported seeing this exact thing. And for them, it meant one thing. You were doomed. So what is the real story here? Is this whole thing just a spooky sailor's tale told on long voyages? Or is there something more to it? Well, that's what we're here to figure out. All right, let's dive into the origin story. To really get a handle on this legend, we've got to go way back. Back to a time when the oceans were, the great unknown, humanity's biggest frontier and its deepest mystery. The legend really takes root back in the 17th century. This was the golden age of the Dutch East India Company, the VOC. They were a massive trading powerhouse. And while it was the golden age of sailing, it was also incredibly dangerous. On those ships, superstition was just as real and just as important as the ropes and the sails. Okay, so the most popular version of the story revolves around this one guy, a Dutch captain named Hendrik van der Decken. He's trying to sail his ship around the Cape of Good Hope, which, by the way, was notoriously treacherous. A massive storm hits, and his crew is begging him, "Captain, let's turn back." But van der Decken, he was, let's just say, a very proud and very stubborn man. He wasn't having it. And this is the moment that seals his fate. In a fit of pure defiance, he supposedly screams this blasphemous oath into the wind. Legend says that something hurt him. Maybe it was God, maybe it was the devil, the stories differ, but whatever it was, it took him at his word. And just like that, he and his ship were cursed. Cursed to sail the seas forever, never to set foot on land again. So a spooky legend is one thing, right? But what makes the Flying Dutchman story stick around for so long is the evidence, the eyewitness accounts. We're talking over 200 years of people claiming they've seen this thing. And it's not just, superstitious sailors after too much rum. We're talking royalty. We're talking crowds of people on the shore. I mean, just look at this timeline. These sightings are all over the place, spanning centuries. You've got British ships in 1835, German U-boats during World War II. But probably the most jaw-dropping account of all happened in 1881. And the person who reported it, well, that's what makes it so credible. Yeah, believe it or not, the most famous and honestly most detailed sighting we have on record was logged by a future King of England. That's right, Prince George of Wales, the guy who would go on to become King George V. So back when he was just a young midshipman in the Navy, he wrote this incredibly vivid entry in his official log. He describes the Dutchman crossing their path, glowing with a strange red light. He says you could see the masts and sails of this other ship perfectly clearly. And get this, he wasn't the only one. 13 crew members saw it. But then, poof, they looked again and there was absolutely nothing there. Not a single trace of a real ship. But here's where it gets truly chilling and really cements the whole omen of doom thing. Later that exact same day, the sailor who first spotted the ghost ship, he fell from the topmast and died. That single event just locked in the superstition for everyone. If you see the Flying Dutchman, disaster isn't far behind. Okay, so we've got this amazing legend. We've got centuries of really spooky eyewitness accounts. But you have to ask, right? Is there a scientific, rational explanation for all of this? Well, it turns out the answer is yes. And the most likely culprit has this incredible name, a Fata Morgana. It's actually named after Morgan Le Fay, the sorceress from the King Arthur legends, which is pretty cool. It's a really complex kind of mirage, a superior mirage to be exact, and it can produce some seriously bizarre and convincing illusions. So how on earth does this work? Well, to put it simply, you need the right weather conditions. You get a layer of really cold air sitting right on top of the sea, and then a layer of warmer air sits on top of that. That boundary where they meet, it acts like a giant natural lens in the atmosphere. It can take the light from a real ship, one that's so far away it's actually below the horizon, and bend it, projecting a weird, distorted, floating image of it for someone miles and miles away to see. And here's the amazing part. When you put the legends side by side with the science, it lines up almost perfectly. That ghostly glow sailors described, well, that's just the distorted, shimmering light from the mirage. The ship floating above the waves? Yep, that's the image being projected up into the air. And the fact that it vanishes without a trace? That's just the atmospheric conditions changing, and poof, the illusion is gone. So you'd think a solid scientific explanation would kind of kill the legend, right? But nope, not even close. Even with the science, the story of the Flying Dutchman is as popular as ever. It sailed right out of old folklore and straight into our modern culture. I mean, its influence is huge. It helped inspire classic literature like The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. It became a worldwide sensation thanks to Richard Wagner's opera. And of course, you see it everywhere today, in books, TV shows, and yeah, some pretty big movies. For a lot of us, the first thing we think of is probably the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, right? That creepy, supernatural ship captained by Davy Jones. It's the perfect example of how this legend from the 1600s is still being retold and remixed, tapping into that fascination we all have with the mysteries of the ocean. So in the end, whether you see it as a trick of the light or a true ghost story, the legend of the Flying Dutchman just keeps on sailing. Which kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? Why are we still so captivated by these stories? Maybe it's because even now, the ocean is still this huge, mysterious place. And a good ghost story? Well, it's the perfect way to express our awe and maybe our fear of its incredible power.